It's the Daily Quickie with Arty 84. How's everyone doing today? This is Arty 84 for another wicked adventure. So today we're in South Boston, Massachusetts. Now, it's been a while since we had a wicked adventure, and I'm putting some together for you. But for the most part, we're gonna set this up again. We're gonna be exploring stuff around anywhere for the most part. So today, I found something really interesting out on the site, and I think it is a relic of the old past of Boston. I'll go for it in a second. Let's see. If you notice up there, this appears to be an old gas lantern, which do not exist in the city anymore. And as I'm doing some research, I'm going to try to figure out what the hell this is. There's no parts on it with no dates or anything, but if you look into the light up there, I'm going to zoom in a little more. You can see it looks like a flame, so it looks like it's an active lantern. Now I'll zoom out a little bit. This street we're on right now is a court, and this is Dorchester Ave over here, and this is the access way into the court, into the small lot. So at one point in time, before Dorchester Ave was as busy as it was, there was these small houses and these small little courts. So I'm thinking what happened was when the city had the gas lanterns installed many years ago, they just couldn't get to this one, and they kind of just left it active. So I'm curious, I'm going to do some more investigation, but this doesn't look like it's part of anyone's property, and it's still lit. I should try to drive by back here at night sometime and check it out, but it's pretty cool. You don't really see this every single day. So after further review, I did some research that wasn't Dorchester Avenue, which that was Old Colony. Dorchester runs kind of perpendicular to it, and I did do some research online, and the city of Boston does have about 2,500, I believe was the number, active gas lights still in use in the city. And judging by where that location is and how that house is and the ability to, or the reason to even take it out, I would be strongly to think that that is an actual gas lamp still exists in the middle of a neighborhood, which is actually pretty cool. And those date back for over 100 years at this point. So this neighborhood in South Boston is pretty old, so that would make sense. Off next, since we're in South Boston, it's a beautiful day, we're going to go to check out a few of the spots, and we'll see you there. Today, our adventure takes us to Castle Island, which is really not an island anymore. It's an actual old fort from the 1600s in the Boston Harbor. Fort Independence is the actual fort on the island, called Castle Island. We'll explore it a little bit. Now, if you're visiting Castle Island here in South Boston, you got to stop by Sullivan's, which I just did. I got myself a couple hot dogs, as you see here, and a small Coke. Yum. The best part with hot dogs are only $1.50, $1.75 piece. That was only $5. I like the North Shore counterpart, like Kelly's roast beef. You go up there, and it's like $20 for a roast beef sandwich. Right now, I'm sitting here enjoying a beautiful view of Logan Airport and the opening of Boston Harbor. It's delightful. I can't beat this. Yeah, just an oil tanker cruising by on a beautiful afternoon. How fast do you think that thing's going? How much gas do you think is in there? And if it starts running out of gas, does it use its own gas? The questions I always wonder. This little statue sits here, the Great Republic. I think it indicates that this ship was launched from this island back in 1853, when it was still an island. Over there's Logan Airport. You can actually see the planes. There's a plane coming in right now to land. A small little propeller plane. The jets actually, when they come in from over here on certain days, and they land. And right there with that little spinning thing at the end of the runway, that's the end of the runway for the radar. So right over there, those white tubes look like big giant golf balls. That's Dare Island over off of Winthrop. That used to be an island too. That's not an island anymore. A lot of Boston islands they filled in and became a piece of mainland. And that's every time you flush your toilet in the greater Boston area, your poop goes there. It gets treated and gets sent 20 miles out to sea. Pretty intense. Pretty intense. Then over here, we have some more islands. Spectacle Island. There's Long Island over there. All the many inner harbor Boston islands. We're on a pier right here. There's that monument we were at earlier. This is what some of the Castle Island looks like. It's actually a giant pentagon shape. You can get up there, I think. I'm not sure how you get up there though. We'll walk around and see if I can see it. How to get up there. So this is like the most, I guess you say, pointed point, if that makes any sense, into the harbor. So back in the old days, this is where lookouts would look for foreign ships to come in. Look over there, there's an airplane taking off. If we can catch it. Here, let's see it. There it is right there, out in the back. This would be the last possible sight of an enemy ship. And this was a fort, obviously, so it would have been used to protect if the boats got past George's Island, which is further out there in the harbor. Then this would be the last line of the fence before an enemy ship came into the Boston Harbor and tried to take it over, as it did in several wars. So this is the Revolutionary War, and I think even the Civil War. And there was even rumor that there was a U-boat spotted outside of Massachusetts Bay that came very close to shore during World War II, I believe. This is the fort behind me, and you can see those little holes there. Those are actually cannon holes. That's where the cannon would actually sit, behind those walls, and pretty much launch cannons at any boats that came into the harbor. Alright, so this island out here is Spectacle Island. Years ago, the city of Boston used to dump all their trash on that island. There was no place to do it, no incinerator to burn it or anything. They would just barge out their garbage and pack it on that island right there. So if you notice how high that island is. When they did the big dig back in the late 80s into the 90s and early 2000s, anything they dredged from Third Harbor Tunnel and any dirt or any soil or anything of that nature that they found, they actually just transported on that island to cover up the garbage. And in addition, now it's a nice park. You can actually go camping out there if you want. It's pretty cool, but I don't know if I want to be camping on a big pile of garbage. And then the further back, see that lighthouse over there? That is actually, it was I think a reformed school back in the day. And if you look over here, it looks like there used to be a bridge that connected Quincy to Long Island that they actually took down because it was dangerous. And so people who live over there on Long Island were just kind of stranded. And this was like in a matter of a few years ago. So the only way out there is by boat. But the reformed school is no longer used. It was used as a hospital of some sort as well. But and there's no plans at all to, from what I read, to rebuild that bridge. So it's pretty much back as a island again. This is the Korean War South Boston Memorial. As many cities has their memorials to veterans of the past. This one is for the Korean War. I believe it's all people who lived in South Boston who died in the war. Of course, up there is the POW flag. Looks like, can't tell if that's a light or in that corner right there is a cannon rig from an old cannon mounted on the top of the fort right there. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I try to get up there. You can't get up there. It doesn't look like you can get up there unless I'm missing something. But I would imagine that it's all a giant fort inside. And they use grass to kind of camouflage it on the top so it doesn't really look like anything, which is kind of cool. So I'm walking through the park and I find the statue, the fireman statue, right here in the middle for Robert M. Greene, who died in 1978 in the line of duty. And let's see, if you read it, there's a Navy veteran for World War II. There's also in Korea. Never heard of this story. Boston Gaelic Fire Brigade, Boston Fire Department. Ladder 23. engine 24. So after reading, actually, it seemed like he was a firefighter. He ran into an apartment building that was burning down, and was actually trapped in it, saving a child's life. And it's pretty amazing. It's kind of crazy. In Boston in the old days, when these fires happened, these old apartment buildings were pretty deadly for fire safety and whatnot. And it's kind of a sad story when you're reading it. It talks about how the fire alarm rang. He didn't realize he was running to his death, and it's pretty crazy when everyone's running out of the house that's on fire, and these are the people that are running in. I'm not sure what this is. It looks like definitely an old house of some sort. Maintenance house, perhaps. There's someone in there right now. Perhaps it's used for people that maintain the grounds. That's where they hang out when they're between shifts or breaks or whatever. Oh, a little house though. It's all boarded up though. It's definitely someone in there though. Unless that's a ghost. Someone in there. Alright, now after I got to the other side of the house, I seen it's the Castle Island site of the United States Army Signal Corps Station. So, because this was an army base of some sort, this was the station for it. If you've seen the sign right there, and it's protected by the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation. Pretty cool building. If you pan out, there's the fort behind there, and there's a nice view of Boston right here. You can see facing northwards. See the Boston skyline. And if you turn over here, you can see, zoom in a little bit, it's UMass Boston and JFK Library. And see a little gas tank on the side over there, way back there. That's going to be our next stop after this trip. Alright, so our last stop of the day takes us to the tip of Dorchester. And Dorchester's most beloved artifact, if you will, where everyone in the city just adores, and it's the greatest thing ever. The National Grid gas tank. Oh yes. It is the focal point of all of Dorchester. The paint job on it was actually from an artist, I believe, Karita Kent was her name. This is an interesting gas tank. It's basically off the side of I-93, and it has a face on it, which you can't see from this side. But I'll try to get some pictures on the other side. But when you drive down the expressway, if you look to your left, it looks like there's a face. And to give you some proximity, there's the expressway over there. Literally on the side of it, and you just drive by this thing. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but every day when you drive by this thing, traffic seems to slow down. I believe perhaps they're always looking at the face. Well, that concludes this episode of Wicked Adventure of Arty 84. Where the next episode takes us, I do not know. But for the now being, I hope you enjoy the found gas lamp in South Boston and Castle Island, Fort Independence, and of course the lovely gas tank in Dorchester. This actual gas tank that sits there, how lovely that is. And it sucks because over here you have, if you can see, that's Marina Bay, which is a really nice part of Quincy, and then you have, you know, UMass, the other side of UMass. We've seen the other side of UMass, yeah, but I don't know. It's a gas tank. They love it. It's going to be there forever, since 1970s. And we will see you next time on Wicked Adventure.